Um, Perfect. What if I started? Oh, what if I started it like that? Really cinematic. That's the word in which I was looking for. What is up, you guys? Kayla here. Kayla G here with another episode of Big Sister Sesh. In case you couldn't tell, a bitch is showered, a bitch is clean shaven, a bitch has put tanner on, despite what I said yesterday or last week about being cool with my paleness. I'm not. I decided actually I'm not. So maybe I'll be like a couple shades darker by the end of this video. And if that's the case, you should mind your business. Anyway. I'm talking about such a cool thing today. Cool is probably not the word to describe it. Rather interesting. Let's just hop right into it. I think I already said this, but I can't remember. This is Big Sister Sesh with your host, Kayla G. We are here. We are getting into it. We are hitting in the hard hitting facts. That is a sentence, is what I just said. Today, we're going to be talking about how men's minds work, which I am an expert on now. No, I'm totally kidding. But this is all based on a video that I watched. It was the Eileen Fisher podcast, and she had on Ali Armstrong. And if you don't know who Ali Armstrong is, she studies men's brains and like how they work and shit. And I'm so glad to have her around because, girl, we need it. We need it. What are we doing? I don't understand them. So I'm about to break it down real simple for you. But before I get into that, really the only thing I know about Ali Armstrong is she is literally the cutest beam of light of human being I've ever quite seen. And she's just like she's the whole time in this podcast. And I love her for that. Definitely listen to it, especially if you're dating or in a relationship. Or if you're a human person being, you should listen to it. It's such a good episode. I feel like even if you're not dating, you can get something from it about yourself as just a woman or blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Ali is that bitch. I'm going to touch on a few of the things that really stood out to me, some of the key takeaways. So if you don't want to listen to that podcast, which you should, you can just listen to me. I'm going to break it down in real simple terms. I'm going to, where my dumb bitches at? Kidding. But I'm going to break it down for you guys. She says it in super lame-as terms as well. It's not like by any means hard to understand. But I'm gonna make it probably silly goosey hee ha ha. So if you're looking for that element, stick around. The first thing that I'll touch on is that men really are so much deeper than we think they are. They're just not as prone to sharing it, I guess, which I think we all know to some extent, but I think some of us are just like, oh, they're men. Like, they don't think hard about these things. They do think really hard. They think hard about a lot of things, and they think deeply and they feel deeply. It's just in such a different way to women, which she goes into so well, of just how like men experience feelings in life and how women experience feelings in life. And one of the main takeaways of it was like, women are cool with crying. Like, we can cry and then get about our day. Like, that's how we can process emotions. When men cry, that is like the nth straw for them, and it's like so soul sucking for them to cry. Like, it is for us, but like they're like, I'm out, I'm KO'd for the day. Like, when women, we can like, and then we can like go about our day because we're like, yeah, we just had a little cry, we needed to do that. And men don't understand that about us. They're like, oh my God, are you okay? That's why they like low-key might freak out if you're crying, because they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because when they cry, it's the end of the world. But that's like just one of the ways that we like navigate the world differently. And another one that's really interesting, I'll go into in just a sec. But yeah, men are so much deeper than we give them credit for. And I think this is something that I have been actively trying to appreciate about men, because after I got out of my last relationship, I think I had been through a couple of bad relationships, or just not bad relationships, but they ended badly, like dumb people in college type shit. And then like my last relationship was abusive and like just not good, bad, 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 only not good. Um, and I had this chip on my shoulder about men. And I was like walking around like, fuck men, all men suck, men, 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 poop, poop, poop. That's how I was navigating like life and talking about life or men the last year of my life is what I was trying to say. And I think that because I got so into like manifestation and like literally like I spoke so much of the shit that I wanted into existence. And I started to finally take that approach with dating because I'm walking around saying all men are shit, men treat me like shit, men suck, this, this, this. Of course, that's like, even if manifestation wasn't real, like confirmation bias, that's what you're going to look for. And like, that's what you're going to get. And so I started to like think of men as more human because just as many bad men, just as many like shitty men there are out there, there are equally as many wonderful, amazing men who, if you give them the space to be men and leaders and providers and caretakers and just protectors, they will 100% do that. You just have to find them. Like it's not that men are shitty, it's that there are shitty people in every single category of people. And I was just attracting the shitty ones because of the way I felt about myself, the way I went about the world, and the way I was speaking about, like, I was literally manifesting shitballs. So now that I've been like appreciating men for who they are and how they're different as us and like understanding how to navigate them a little bit better, I just see that they are so much deeper and they have so many layers to them and they're so beautiful and they're just sweet babies too. Like girls are so cute and like I hold so much space. I'm like, women can do no wrong. Women are the best. But like men are that way too, really. Like really there are shitty women, there are shitty men, there are shitty non-binary people. Like there's it knows shitty people know no bounds. And the same way as good people know no bounds. If you look for the good people in whatever, like they'll be there. And they're not just like these shallow creatures who are looking to like, they're like, there are a lot of men who are looking for a really deep, valuable connection. And yeah, that was the first point. The second point, which I found so interesting, is that men are single focused. They are like one task, one thing, result. Women are like, I do a little bit of laundry, like I do a little bit of work. I stir the stew on the stove. I take a shower. I put on self tanner, and then I also like do these things. Like women are in their flow state. I thought I had ADHD. I'm just a girl. Women are in their flow state when they can like pitter and patter and boo bop bop bop. And men are in their flow state when they can lock in and focus. And this is my one thing right now that I'm thinking about and doing. And biologically, this goes back to our ancestors because like during the primal fucking times, it was men's job to hunt and like protect. And so they had to like lock in on their surrounding or lock in on their like hunt or whatever the fuck. She explains this so much better than me, but they had to lock in. They were lock in guys. And women were in the background and they were like scanning for all of the like other things. Like women are scanning for the danger and they're like making sure the babies are okay. And they're like that was their focus, was to make sure everything else. And they were doing the one thing and the women were like literally taking care of the rest. And it was this beautiful symbiotic relationship that if you can lean into that about yourself, can be so beautiful and grand and amazing. Because I literally for the longest time, I am diagnosed ADHD. Like I was on Focalin, which is basically, if you don't know, like basically like a similar version of Adderall or Vyvanse or whatever. And like that, okay, ADHD. I just lost my train of thought. Me saying I don't have ADHD. No, I just lost my train of thought. But like I thought because I couldn't complete a fucking task, like I couldn't sit down and complete a task, which I can do. Like I really can. It's not that deep. But like because when I'm in my flow state, it looks like doing like this for like 30 minutes and then doing this for 30 minutes. And like, and I love doing things at the same time. I'm in my fucking zen beep bop boop bop time when I can make a pot of coffee and make some banana bread and also be like painting my nails, and like that is the funnest, like that's my like ooh, like I'm in my zone, locked in, I can do a million things at once. I love it. And I'm describing a lot of like bullshit thing, not bullshit, but like I'm describing a lot of like frivolous activities. I'm that way in my sales job too. Like the way that my brain works with all of the different like tabs that we have open, because we have all these different softwares running at one time. You're doing this, like you're analyzing a bunch of things, and my brain loves that. Like it's focused, but in such a different way. Men like to do this one singular focus, and like that's their peace, that's their flow state. And the same way that that's like when we're relaxed, when they're focused, sometimes, and she describes like how we should like let them be, and we should be let be, let done. When we're doing that, they should be let be when they're doing that, because that's their piece. And if we interrupt them, it like breaks their flow state. The same way that like we can kind of navigate that differently because our brains work differently. It's so cool. Listen to that episode. She's going to describe it so much better than me. And it's just going to, you're just going to make, it's going to, your brain synapses go boom, and then they kiss. Deep cut. Did you watch the last episode? Then you would know what this means. And then they kiss. Oh, and on that topic, which is something I started to do just because I realized that I interrupt people a lot. Oh my God, I forgot the most important part. So women, when we're talking to other women, we can talk about blah, blah, blah. John did this, blah, 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 blah. We're talking about John. And then we like side combo to here. And then we side combo to here. And then we can still bring it back to John doing the original thing. We can navigate that path so well. And it's like nothing. Like we get that. We bing, 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 bing. Men are more like stream of conscious. We need to talk about this one thing. And the way that women can interrupt each other, like we can interrupt each other and interject and like still always come back and like have all the, like we touched on it all. We get it. Men don't work the same way. Like they, if you really want to understand how a man is feeling about something, ask the question and then do not interrupt him in any way, shape, or form. Men don't need the reassuring head nods, the oohs, like, oh, like, and the interjections. Like, don't just whatever you're thinking, just put it aside for like one time and ask your man like a question that would require or could provide a loquacious answer, and just let it happen. Like ask the question and then just like wait. And even if there's awkward pauses, 30 seconds, a minute might go by. Just count in your head and don't say anything because they might be thinking. And they'll keep talking. They'll talk way more than if you interrupt them, just because their train of thought, like they process it differently. And my current boyfriend, I do this with, and I did it with once, like just because I was like honestly like fucking with him a little bit, because he will do this where he can just like talk, like he can be prolific, not really though, but only about certain things. Anyway, I asked him a question and he talked and talked and talked, and like there would be silence for like sometimes like it felt like 30 fucking minutes, not really, but it would feel like 5 minutes went by, but I would not say a thing. And he's like laying on the couch, not really looking at me while he's talking, so he doesn't see me being like but I'm like letting him talk, and at the end he said something like, yeah, like that's about it. I was like, literally 30 minutes have gone by, you've been talking about this. And in the video, Ali Armstrong says, like, if you let men speak, if you give them the whole, like give them the whole platform to speak, don't interrupt them at all, they'll talk for way longer than you think, and they'll pretty much always end it with something like, and that's about it, like, and that's it on that. They'll let you know when they're done. It's so crazy because I had done that probably a month before, and then I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's literally so true. And after telling my boyfriend about this video, I explained to him this concept. We were in a, I don't want to call it a disagreement. We were not arguing. That's even worse. We were talking about an intense topic, And I did the thing where I was sitting back and I was like very actively trying to sit back because I had things to say. And he looked at me and he appreciated it. He was like, I know that you're trying to like let me talk and I really appreciate that. So I think like, I don't know, that bitch knows things and I'm gonna keep listening to her. I just thought that was so interesting um about how men's like that kind of turned into its own thing, but whatever. How cool is that? So the third thing is men like the core themes of what men want to feel in whatever like don't PC, I don't give a fuck. Men want to feel honored, they want to feel respected, or rather, men want to feel honorable, respected, and have recognition for their character. Like that. A lot of men really care about that. And I can just like you kind of know this already, but like these are the overarching themes of what like I don't know, we know that like men care about those things, but like to have it in concrete writing, I feel, or just like hearing it felt different to me. And I like with my current boyfriend, I do compliment him a lot just because that's like kind of my nature. And like I notice he really appreciates it when I tell him things about his character and like I can see his like like his chest perk up a little bit. He's like, yeah, like I am that, aren't I? And I think men need compliments and words of affirmation a lot more than we give them credit for, like, and specific kinds too. I think building men up is really important. And especially in this day and age, shit has gotten weird. I don't really know, like, I know the straight white male has done some shit, but like to completely just rag on them, it's hurting their mental health too. And I think just complimenting men in like a real way is really important. Lean into it. Men really like compliments, especially about their character, about their honor, like being honorable, respectful, blah, 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 blah. And I've tried to like be more vocal because I think these things all the time. I'm like, oh, he's so wonderful. Like, meh, meh, meh. And now I'm just like, say it out loud, bitch. Like, he'll love that. So that's kind of it on that. The next thing is something that I also feel like we know, but like we don't actually have a like route for navigating. Like we know it to be true, but we still, or at least I was still doing like thinking like what the fuck because just men are different. And that is instead of thinking that they don't care about you, ask yourself the question, what if I wasn't clear? Men are not intuitive like women. Like women, we feel everything and we can like we can just like sense things. And just men aren't that way. And obviously, like there are certain things that like people should just know to do, like treat people with common fucking decency. But there are certain things that men just like they can't sense things about you. And the way that like we might sense if like they're off immediately. Like I remember in my last relationship, there were times where I'm just like, he should know that I'm like upset, like he should know that like this bothered me or this. And it's like, and they're little, like obviously there are things that are like, okay, bitch, like you should know. But there are like more little things that like they really can't pick up on. Like if we're getting salty about whatever, they're leaving dishes out, they're not doing the laundry, like blah, 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 blah. And we maybe give them the cold shoulder. Like they're not like, I wonder what I did to like, they literally don't. They just don't. Maybe, but like probably not. And you just have to be clear and direct and compassionate. And like, you don't have to simmer. You don't have to like bubble it up. You don't have to let it bubble up and like become this thing that it doesn't have to be. You just have to be like clear and concise with a result at the end. Men are very result driven. And that was another thing, like kind of going in tandem with this is they're very like result driven. So we like to speak in a lot of I feel statements, but if we can articulate that feeling into a result for them, like changing their actions because it will lead to X result for how you'll feel, that also helps them conceptualize why things are important to you. like recently, I asked my partner for a little bit more of affirmation throughout the week because he's 37 and he doesn't text. Like he's not a big texter, whatever. And like me being 27, I'm like, oh, like I like a little text, like, meh, meh, meh. And I just like I've been simmering on it low key for a while because I'm like, I don't want to seem like this needy person, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, but Ali Armstrong, she said to just ask. And I asked him in such a way, I literally did like, this is how I'm feeling. If you could do this, it would make me feel this. It would make me feel like more secure, like more blah, 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 blah. Like I know like it doesn't really make sense to you, but this is how it would make me feel. And it's a small ask. So I don't say, it's a small fucking ask and you do this shit. But I'm like in his head, like he's like, and he literally goes like, after first he like was like, okay. And then he was like, yeah, like that's so, yeah, I can do that. No problem. Like you just have to ask. They literally don't know. They don't know. They think about things differently than us and they're not intuitive. And he would never know that I'm like simmering about that. Like he would never know that I'm like, like even though it's so stupid and little. Anyway, it's not stupid and little. Valid. Feelings are valid. Me self-checking in the middle of this podcast. Okay. If you want to ask something deeper, like this kind of goes off of this. I don't know. I just kind of like wrote notes and they're a little bit not super clear. But if you like need to feel, if you feel the need to like make yourself clear about something, like if you have like a big ask or just something that you want to talk about deeply, she recommends like, this is not even just men. I think like either or, I feel like you should be asking people for if they have the space or like the bandwidth to talk about something serious. And like specifically with men, like that's priming them like, okay, I need to like lock in right now, or either whatever gender. it I think it's priming like the person for like I feel like women are more able to tap into that emotional side. Like men like might be in the middle of something, or like not even that, they're like their focus thing is what I'm saying. Like I feel if you ask them, hey, like I really need to talk about something serious with you, when would a good time to talk about something serious be? And they'll tell you and it'll be great and everything will be fine, and then you'll talk about it and everything will be great and fine. I don't know, that part, maybe watch the video so you understand. This wasn't The next thing is not really like, this is just a question that I thought was really good to ask yourself, because it probably would have made me leave my previous relationship a lot sooner, which is like how to recognize if you're dealing with an emotionally intelligent man. And that is like, when we have a problem, do I become the problem or do we isolate the problem and solve it together? And I think that is such a beautifully put question. Like that's so perfect and concise. If like everything that you come to a person about becomes a problem with you, no, that is not like, that's not the partner you want to be with. In a similar vein, like if you have to, not if you, when you are asking for what you want, when you're asking for what you want, if he responds and you do the format, it depends on how old this person is, their life experience, their trauma, everything. Like I believe a person's initial reaction is their trauma, and the second reaction is how they truly think. And I think, maybe a man might come off a little bit defensive at first, like, hey now, like, what do you mean I need to do something differently? But if they can like, if you can give them a few minutes to really like think about it, and they can be like, you know what, like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. That's an emotionally intelligent man. And that's someone worth sticking around for, huh? Let me tell you. I mean, you know what I fucking mean. If there's a bunch of other things wrong, that's one thing. You can be emotionally intelligent and have a lot of other problems. However, you know what I'm fucking trying to say right now. So don't come at me with Jimbo Jambo. What is that? um, but if he can like, or if he cannot accept that you're like just asking for something, and like if you've taken the real steps, if you've, you know, hey, I need to talk about something serious, or like, can I ask you for something? And you do the like, blah, 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 blah. Avoid the like, you aren't doing this. Like, if you can say it in such a way and you know that you did your best, or like even if you're not perfect, if you did your best in asking for this thing and this person's like, no, I don't think I can get that. Like, and like, why did you? Like he's not the one, girl. He's not the one. If every problem becomes you and it's not something that you guys can attack together, that's not a good guy. We don't like him. Dump his ass, girl. I pretty much already said this in the beginning. I wrote this for the end, but it just seemed more fitting there. Um, but I will reiterate because I think it is so important in a generation. I just feel like a lot of girls my age, especially, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of women around my age are just feeling like fuck men. Like I feel like that's coming up a lot. And like, girl, if you need to just go do you, like, bitch, go do you. But I think if you're like dating and you just keep saying like all men are the fucking same and all men are shit and blah blah blah, like it truly might be not like you're attracting these kinds of men. Like you are manifesting shit because you're saying like all men are shit. You can't like trust me, if you start speaking about men differently, I promise you, I promise you, some shit will change. Like, I really think if we can humanize men a little bit more because they've just been absolutely fucking demonized lately, I feel. And they're like, we are all, as Joe Rogan says, we are all just fucking adults in baby, or no, scratch that. We're all babies in adult bodies. Like, we are all doing this life thing for the first time. We're just trying to figure it out. Like men are also probably like, oh, like women, what the fuck? Like if we can try to like let's shift the narrative a little bit, especially if you're dating, like let's treat men with a little bit more compassion. It's not about tit for tat. I think like a lot of women go, well, men don't know. Girl, whatever. Like do what's best for you. And what's best for you is not talking hella shit on men. It's bad for your mental health. You're going to attract some piece of shit. And I don't need to explain why I'm feeling this way, actually. So, but yeah, I think men can be just as hurt as we are. I think they're like, I feel like a lot of men are just like, I don't even know what to do right now. Like, there's some out there, but I think there's a lot more good men than we give credit for. I think if we can lean into men being men, natural leaders, providers, protectors, and women, we can be us. Like we can be like, I have to girl boss in my real life, but in my relationship, like I love to be led. I love to be protected. I love to be made felt like a woman and feminine and like just follow him. Like it's so nice to let men be men and women be women sometimes. And like gender norms be damned, or gender like non-norms be damned. Like you can like you as much as we can be accepting about that stuff, we can also be accepting of like men being men and women being women. And I think it's really beautiful if that's who you are to lean into that. If you have to girl boss in real life, like try to separate that from your romantic life. I think that's probably one of the most valuable lessons I've taken from that video is like, yeah, I'm gonna like we are just in a different time. We are going to have to, not we are have to, but like I've chosen to girl boss. I've chosen to girl boss in my real life. Um, I can I can make the choice to separate that romantically, and it's turned out to be beautiful, and I'm really happy with that choice. And I think perhaps some other people would be too. Me just being a girl. Oh. Um, man, if my haters could see me now, girl, what? I don't know. Anyway, I really think you should go listen to that video. It's Ali Armstrong on the Eileen or Aline Fisher Podcast, Ali Armstrong, and then I do not know how to spell Eileen Fisher Podcast. Girl, you'll find it. You'll be so fine. Um, have the best day. Peace and love. Like, I don't fucking know. Go be a girl. Go do like your flow state of like go make coffee and banana bread and then like paint your toes or something. It feels good. It feels so good to pitter patter. Water your plants on the laptop for 10 minutes. It's so fun. And like go let your man be and don't interrupt him. And then if you have to, be like, do you have the time? Do you have the space? Men are so cute. Men are so cute too. Okay, that's it. Bye.